The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Good evening. Welcome to my State of Mind. I am Dan Yorke. Hidden really from the public debate, simply because of COVID and all the other stress that we have, is question 1 on the ballot, and that is whether or not to remove the words "and Providence Plantations" from the official state name. One of the leaders of this effort has been State Representative Anastasia Williams, and she'll be my guest. She's a veteran. She's been around a long time, and she has a lot of things to say about that and a whole lot more. First, here's the story on the question.
If passed, question 1 on the Rhode Island ballot would remove "and Providence Plantations" from all official state references. Supporters of the change, like Bill Lynch, chairman of the group Rhode Island United, also known as the Question 1 campaign, say removing a racially insensitive word from the state's title is overdue.
I've never, ever had anybody ask me where I'm from, and I say the state of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations.
That reality brought Lynch, former Rhode Island Democratic chairman, to become one of the founders for the nonprofit Rhode Island United, to try to keep the issue on voters' radars. With an initial $75,000 grant from the Rhode Island Foundation, the group plans to produce ads to run on social media to campaign for the name change.
And this isn't going to solve the race relations problems in the country, but I think it sends a message to people that in Rhode Island, we care. This
will be the second time the General Assembly voted to put the question on the ballot in 10 years. In 2010, voters overwhelmingly rejected a name change, 78% to 22%. Lynch says he believes that Rhode Islanders will vote differently this year.
A lot of people, I think, this time around are saying, you know, this isn't really an issue that was a big priority for me, but I do now sort of understand why it matters to other people, you know, maybe my neighbor, maybe my coworker.
He says opponents say the word plantation had no association with slavery when Roger Williams settled Providence in 1636.
I would say that if Roger Williams was here today, I think if he were here today, he'd be standing on our side.
And Anastasia Williams is a long-time rep. Rep, how long have you been in the business now?
14 terms.
14 terms.
Yes.
Does it get old?
Do we get old? That was good, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, the answer is yes, we do get old. Yes, we do. But does it get old?
It depends on the topic, it depends on the day, and it depends on the need of that particular time.
Yeah, it depends on if you're all revved up with a speech from the floor. I mean, if we don't get 2 or 3 of those from you in a normal session, we're missing something. And I say that.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
No, I say that with respect. I mean,
I know.
You keep everybody honest. Speaking of that, not to let this guy get in the way, but one more time, I'm going to lay it on you and every other rep that's out there. You know, where are you folks? This autonomous form of government with the governor is just way too long, way too long. Yeah.
I agree with you. I I stay ready. So, you know, aside from myself, there are many other of my colleagues who have been ready and willing and able to do what needed to be done on behalf of the constituency, on behalf of the business that we are supposed to take care of for the state of Rhode Island. But unfortunately, you know, we are not the leadership. We are not the 3 musketeers or the 3 stooges that make the decision on behalf of the benefit of the state of Rhode Island. So.
Okay. And having said that, you know, the speaker says that this whole thing is under control. He and the Senate president and the governor, you know, are in their own little cocoon, it seems, you know, running this whole thing. But both legislative leaders really are just kind of, you know, playing rope-a-dope. The speaker has his own challenges, trying to sustain himself in his own district, no doubt. The Senate president seems to have escaped that problem, but it's bad form. And I just wonder when the Democrats rank and file are going to be, I appreciate your candid answer, but I just wonder when you're going to be more formidable in saying, let's go, we got to get back to work. I mean, the idea that you're going to try to form a budget after Election Day with still no real finite word from Washington as to what's coming, up 95. And that's something you could have done anyway. You could have 1, 2, 3 different versions, I think, of an operating game plan. And then the other thing that I know you're very concerned about is the small businesses in this state. The governor finally gets dragged kicking and screaming for a $50 million allocation. She barely has 20% of the money out. I mean, it's, the city's community businesses, I'm sure, are strapped and looking at a very tough winter coming up ahead.
Yeah, first, let me just say, Dan, it would be unfair for me not to say that myself and others have not been asking that $1 million question. When and why can we not go back in? Why can't we not go back in? When can we go back in? We have to take care of the people's business. We have to take care of the business of the state. Small businesses, that long-time small businesses, many of them have closed their doors for good. They're not coming back. And then there are others that are at the brink of closing now that the cold weather has come upon us. But in addition to that, the small businesses in my district and other areas of the state where in the urban area cities are suffering the same plights, but worse, because they're still trying to get help to stay afloat. They have not received any type of assistance. And now, come on, it's really bad. You say there could have been maybe even 3 versions of a possibility of the budget. I agree. There could have been 5 possibilities and say, okay, now we have the option. The work has been done. We just have to modify to fit seeing that the election is now over. But to come in to deal with the budget, like almost from scratch per se, because if decisions already have been made, I certainly don't know anything about it. And I certainly would like to be able to go through it to see what exactly they did or what they're going to be presenting for us, for me to vote on. And it's not going to be one of those easy, let's do this, because no, there's been too many easy under control. Well, it doesn't feel like anybody feels that things are under control. It's out of control, in my opinion and in my experience. It's totally, for the majority of the Rhode Islanders, out of control.
Yeah, well, this is what happens when one branch of government lays down. All right, well, look, we're preaching to each other's choir on this. I just think that, by the way, we're here to talk about question 1 and the elimination of the words "and Providence Plantations" from the state name. I'm going to get to that in the next segment. But speaking of questions for the people, the other thing that is outrageous about what is the plan here is that there will be bond questions. They will be set up for a special election, reportedly. You will set a date for a special election for bond questions. I mean, you want to talk about setting up a bullet vote where, people are clueless. There'll be 3% turnout. I mean, nobody will come out for those things, and it's just one of those things where right over everybody's head. It's I think the worst form of financial responsibility that I've seen, and you cannot blame COVID for that. That is completely unnecessary.
First and foremost, it may be a strategic move, because who knows what this huge presidential election has to offer, where it's going to end. Okay, I'm not too sure that the ballots, all of the votes will be counted that night. I look at how long it took for the primary votes for us to get, a final number, a final count on those. So I predict the same kind of outcome for the general with this mass counting. Now, a little slight bit of hope that they are on it, meaning that they have been counting them as they come in to be on top of things. But many people are waiting till the day of, as tradition, to go out to vote, which is okay. But at the same time, come out and bond. People are going to be so disappointed one way or the other on the result of the election. They're going to be so disenfranchised and disillusioned to be coming out and vote on what? bond for whom? When and why? Are you nuts?
Yeah.
And with the surge coming on, yeah, I'm coming out. I'm coming out. Or are they going to send it out for a new mail ballot application for those? How are they going to do that?
It's a great question. There's been no discussion of the organization for that. Well, something tells me that come whether you're successful in your reelection or not, and we wish the best of luck with that, you'll still be there through November. When you do get together, something tells me you're going to have some questions, and I'm glad that you're telling me that it's just not going to be a one fell swoop, bless the budget that was worked out behind closed doors. I mean, look, the dirty little secret has been that leadership always kind of sets this thing up anyway, and you folks fight for whatever tidbits of influence that you can have. But this one's overt. And, maybe this time around, the people will get the message that this is no way to run a railroad. I don't know.
Dan, it's 39 cities in town. And for anyone to, brag about their city, they're the ones who will provide the best and the most for their city. It's really unfair to the other cities in town. Everybody, every city and town in the state of Rhode Island is in dire need. I don't care how affluent you are. You have a need of some sort, and those needs need to be addressed, period. So if that budget does not reflect the need in the proper manner for every 39 cities in town, there's going to be a problem. There is going to be a problem. Well, so nobody better come on and talk about, oh no, this, that, and the other for mine because, honey, not this time around.
Yeah, well, I just to be clear, I mean, you're referencing the Speaker of the House in his own re-election, suggesting that, having the status of being Speaker is a big benefit to those folks. That game has always been played, but right now you're absolutely right. The light's going to be shining very brightly on equity when it comes to this whole thing, and something else.
A lot of people do not want to believe that times have changed. This world, this country, this state is at a pivotal crossroads. Folks are woke. People are paying attention. People are coming out. People are voicing their opinions and their concerns, and they're putting their demands clear as day. There are no more passes that they're handing out. Oh, okay. They're like, nope, you done used them all up. Now pay up, period.
All right. Well, when we come back, the all-important question one with Representative Williams. Stay with us. Veteran Representative Anastasia Williams is my guest here on My State of Mind. We kind of got away a little bit there, but it was a good getaway in segment one. Let's get down to question one and Providence Plantations being removed from the state name. I have to tell you, all due respect to your organization, look, COVID has distracted us. The economy has distracted us. Racial issues other than the state name have distracted us. We are all in a heap of distraction right now. 10 years ago, the people on a 4-to-1 basis said no thank you to a name change. I just think that a lot of folks, Rep, are going to be surprised by the question because they're not aware that we're doing it. There's not been a lot of money. There's not been a lot of debate. There's not been a lot of discourse. Are you concerned that this thing is kind of creeping up on the electorate without the real kind of public debate and discourse that we should have?
I'm not overly concerned. I am concerned that COVID has come into each and every one of our lives, and at a time where we were not expecting it. So we have had to rearrange and do things different, and everything is entirely different. However, life still goes on, and we have to adapt to those changes and make it, use it, apply it in the best manner possible. We can't just sit back and, oh me, oh my goodness. We have to go with the flow. So there are many very important issues on hand. The survival of our state, the healthcare system with with regards to this pandemic, you know, the budgetary, you know, the homelessness. There's an array of top priorities. And then there are those little things, but just as important things like the name change. There's absolutely no reason for us to halt, stop, or, you know, change our course that we may have had before the pandemic hit us in the way it did.
Well,
so I say all that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree that the question should stand. Look, the governor got out in front of it back in the fall of last year. I thought gratuitously, trying to. I thought she was stealing thunder rather than building a coalition for a formidable exit of the term and Providence Plantations. By the way, I've been examining my own mind and conscience, and I think I voted no 10 years ago. I know I'm voting. I think I'm voting yes this time around because I'm not.
Right on.
But I'm not voting. Yeah, it's like some things are just like, okay, it's just time. It's just time. I just am concerned, Rep, that people are going to see it for the first time in a long time because they haven't seen a lot of media attention to the conversation. We're trying to, you know, help with that right now, and just look at it and say, and they're going to operate on their guts. I'm not sure that we've had a 10-year gut turnaround at that level. We'll see.
Yes, we did. You know why? Because George Floyd happened. And many people started to see things in a different light. Had George Floyd not got murdered in the public's eye, the world, now this is not Rhode Island, this is not just the country, the world started to change. And it's still changing. And that's why I said we're at a crossroad. And many people 10 years ago, tradition, their way of thinking, their way of things, their upbringing was what it is. But the true and accurate information about, you know, what the meaning of plantation does to others has also evolved. Yes, it was about farms and colonies, but you also have to think, who worked those farms and how and why were they working them? Okay. And just like the words, like, you know, when I said the N word, okay, I don't want to say the first one because I don't want you to be blocked out from your sponsors, but the N word, you went from that big N word that it seems to be so, you know, oh my God, yes. But the Black people didn't go and advocate to change the N, the master N word to Negroes, and then to colored, and then from colored to Black, and then from Black to Afro-American, and then from Afro-American to African-Americans. So who did that? Somebody along the way thought it was not a nice thing. It didn't sound right. It wasn't fair. It was not productive. So all we are saying with, as far as the name change, it has a different feeling and meaning in society today, period. It's Rhode Island, period. We have a lot to offer, a lot to give, and we are part of this state. And we are saying, you know, the governor's always talking about, or she used to talk about, we're in it together. Let's rise together. Well, who together? Who? You know, so let's do this. She came out and supported and said she was going to remove some stuff, and I have to give her credit for doing that. But it's more than that. And a lot of individuals 10 years ago that voted against it have come forward and voted for it and been campaigning and helping to promote it.
Yeah, look, but I think we both agree that COVID and all the other distractions have not given this argument its full momentum toward election day. So we'll just see. You know, I think you got to agree with me that a lot of people are going to be unwitting to the question, and they're going to look at it right in front of them in the ballot, either the mail-in ballot or you know, on election day, and they're going to have to make a choice from their head and their heart. I hope from your lips to everybody's in God's ears that decision is made by folks. I just will be pleasantly surprised if it happens. I'm not sure that this has gotten the fair light of day.
We have to put it out into the atmosphere in a positive way. You said from my lips to God's ear. Remember what I said at the beginning. We are at a crossroad. There's a reason for every season. George Floyd's death was part of a new season. And it was for all of us to start examining ourselves and our surroundings and making change to that. Now, while this pandemic was devastating to many, to every one of us, it touched us in a different way, but to many was devastating. But we also have to look at the positive things that came from this pandemic and embrace those, because there are many positive things that came from that.
Well, hold that thought. We only have a couple minutes when we come back. We'll ask Representative Williams, what is the positive stuff? Because, boy, we're all starving for positivity. Be right back on My State of Mind. Anastasia Williams is my guest. I only have 90 seconds, Rep. Give me a list of good things that came from COVID. I mean, I'm all ears.
I can't give you a list because we only have a little short time, but I have told the Rhode Islanders to get comfortable being uncomfortable. We need to have real talks about everything. So if you're ready and willing, I am able and I'm there. At the end of the day, it's Rhode Island. Period.
I shall dwell on that. Good luck in your election and good luck with the question. Hopefully we're feeling good about the people's response, but you got to give it a run.
You got to give it a smile, Dan. Yes, this is a good thing. Yes, come out and vote. Yes, on 1 November 3rd or before. Come on out, Rhode Islanders. You know the time have come. We can do this together. We're in it together.
There you go.
Thank you.
Final word and we come back. Stay with us. I think it'd be a pleasant surprise if the electorate decided that they would once and for all end the reference to Providence Plantations. I just wonder about the orientation to the discussion and the pushback without the proper debate and media campaign. We shall see, along with a lot of things on Election Day. Have a great night. Thanks for tuning in. Good night.